Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Control City Freak, National Lampoon's Vacation. We are doing road movie reviews, starting with National Lampoon's Vacation. Spoilers for sure, be warned. And we are going to talk about National Lampoon's Vacation from a Roadgeek perspective. So basically just stuff you see on the road in this movie. Please subscribe to Control City Freak if you enjoy this content or other Interstate Highway and road nerd related stuff, particularly related to Control Cities. This movie starts out in Chicago, specifically the north side of Chicago, and the first real road scene we see is of Lakeshore Drive right here on the north side. And we see the family truckster, Clark W. Griswold and family, driving through North Chicago, the north side, John Hancock building there. And we pass Buckingham Fountain right downtown in Grant Park. So here is kind of the path you would assume they'd be taking as they are heading to Wally World, a fictitious amusement park in Los Angeles. So we see they would, in theory, be taking Lakeshore Drive down to I-55, which right here, they're supposed to still be driving in Chicago, and we see kind of a continuity error. It's obviously not Chicago there. They're out in the plains there. As the Griswold family started by driving down Lakeshore Drive, I always assumed that this scene here was of the I-55 Lakeshore Drive interchange, and that the family truckster right here was on the wrong exit. It was exiting from North 55 to South 41, South Lakeshore Drive. We see it here, and that's what would make sense, except that would be an error that they would not be on that ramp. But after years of thinking this, I finally figured out this is not the I-55 Lakeshore Drive exit. This is the Dan Ryan meeting the Stevenson Expressway. We can see that is definitely the exit there. So that's kind of a continuity error too, because if they were in downtown passing Buckingham Fountain, then they couldn't have been on the Dan Ryan at the same time. But at least it means this ramp is the correct ramp that they would be getting to get on southbound I-55. All right, let's see the family truckster driving through the plains. This looks quite a lot like I-55 in Illinois, so this is well done here. It might really be I-55 in Illinois. And the first major city, and the only major city we get along the road really in this movie they get to, is St. Louis. All right, so they are crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. You guys might have noticed that highway sign at the start of this scene. And if you don't think I gotta zoom on that, you don't know me at all. Here is a look at that sign again. We see 70 West is signed for St. Louis. 44 and 55 are not signed for anything at all, nor is 40 West. Interesting, because they're all going into St. Louis and only 70 is signed for St. Louis and not for Kansas City. Although this is still the Illinois sign, so this would be IDOT doing this in East St. Louis. And we see here is the route that they would have taken through St. Louis. In 1983, there was no stand span, obviously, so they would have taken the Poplar Street Bridge and then up what is now 44, what was then I-70, through downtown and northern St. Louis.
Dad, what river is this?
Ah, that's the Mississippi, the mighty Mississippi. The old miss, the old man. Deep river, my home is over Jordan.
And we see them exiting the Poplar Street Bridge.
As long as we get across the river.
They exited wrong. They end up in a rougher neighborhood in North St. Louis. I've driven through St. Louis many a time, and I can tell you it is quite easy on that section of then 70, now 44, to actually end up on the wrong ramp and to end up in a situation where it's hard to find the freeway again. And of course, I did screenshot these signs for you as well. We see 70 is now west for Kansas City and Convention Center, and that's 55 and 44 are signed for Memphis and Tulsa, as they are now. There is no I-64 signage because in those days it was only US 40. 64 did not make it across the river in 1983. Here's an interesting look at Clark deciding which way to go to when they are in Kansas.
Catherine said we just stay on 50.
Well, I was thinking about shooting over to 54 and zipping down to Liberal.
What for?
The House of Mud.
What's the House of Mud?
It's only the largest freestanding mud dwelling ever built, that's all.
All right, I don't know about the House of Mud, but when he was talking about taking 54 to Liberal, they were just in Dodge City. That is factually correct. We see that 54 does in fact go to Liberal, and that 50's through Dodge City. They decided to stay on 50, which is the correct way because they were going to Coolidge, Kansas, as you can see here on the map. It's marked as 400, but that's also US 50. There was no 400 in 1983, and there probably shouldn't be one now, to be honest. We get to Coolidge, Kansas, although this is actually filmed in Colorado. You can see the mountains in the background. And here we go across the plains to Colorado. And right here, this is actually filmed in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, which is not on the route that Clark W. Griswold would be on, but it sure does look nice. And here we go. We are in South Fork, Colorado, and this adds up to, if they would have stayed on US 50 and then got onto 160 and La Junta, or La Junta, not sure what there, they would indeed end up in South Fork, Colorado. So this is a legitimate route they could have taken. Doesn't look very Colorado-ish here. Here, I think it is supposed to be in New Mexico based on the architecture, though they never said where this hotel was, so we can't exactly be sure. Now we get to Arizona, and the red rocks go away, kind of a continuity error there. And once they get the car fixed, we see them kind of rolling around, still driving around through Arizona here. But we do know where they are here. Yes, they did in fact film at the Grand Canyon. That's not a fake Grand Canyon. They did film there just for that one shot. The old lady dies, and they discover that right here. This is actually filmed in Sedona, Arizona, and that would be on the way between Grand Canyon and Phoenix, which is where the old lady wanted to go originally. We don't know how they got to the Grand Canyon. They were driving down roads we don't know. But we know they would have gone down from the Grand Canyon to Flagstaff to Sedona on 89A. If I-17 existed in 1973, I don't know if it, or 83, I don't know if it did. They would have taken that on down to Phoenix. And hilariously, it is raining like crazy in Phoenix, Arizona. But we do get the Stack interchange right there in downtown LA, the 110 and the 101. And we have them driving, this looks like it might be the 405 that they're driving down. Wally World, next 3 exits. That sign is obviously not real, the font is all wrong. And they get to Wally World, which is not quite a real place, but there are elements of it that are real. So here's the route we would have seen them take into Los Angeles, I-10. I-10 would have been there in 1983. And they have a little Easter egg here. They go to Wally World, and when Clark goes to buy a gun, he ends up right here. Santa Monica and Ocean. And what's significant about Santa Monica and Ocean? Well, traditionally, that's actually the end of Route 66 right there. Route 66 officially ended at Olympic and Lincoln, but that's kind of boring, so they largely thought of it to end here. Not at the Santa Monica Pier. It never ended at the Santa Monica Pier. But this was where the Will Rogers statue was, at Santa Monica Boulevard and Ocean in Santa Monica, California. So it's entirely possible that the makers of the movie thought of this as the end of 66, which is perfect because the movie starts in Chicago. So you got the whole Route 66 dynamic, even though it is rarely on Route 66. But lovely random place for them to be. And then they end up here at Wally World. Wally World, though, is in fact Magic Mountain. It is Magic Mountain, Six Flags over Magic Mountain, and these days only Magic Mountain. This ride is the Colossus, I don't think it's there anymore, but this was a great roller coaster. I rode this back in the day. And then they also rode this, the Revolution, the first looping roller coaster ever, which was also in Magic Mountain. So Magic Mountain stands in for Wally World. Here, as best as I can tell, is the entire route that happens in National Lampoon's Vacation. 55 down to St. Louis, 70 across Missouri, then I-35 US 50 across Kansas to South Fork, 160. 160 would have gone much of the way to the Grand Canyon. They get lost somewhere in there, so we don't know the exact route, but much of this would have been the real route of National Lampoon's Vacation. Thank you so much for watching Control City Freak movie review time. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be back with I-57 too. My name is Todd. Thanks so much for watching. Keep on trucking.